G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. club. And it's Saturday. I've got a work day here in the city, and as you can see, it's quiet. I just can't believe it's Saturday. But I'm in front of the Museum of Contemporary Art. As you can see, there's absolutely no breeze. You can hear the building activity in the background. We'll come round and see the Harbour Bridge. Continue to swing. We've got the pontoon crane there just in front of the International Passenger Terminal. A beautiful opera house, and then swinging round to the Circular Quay and the wharves. And as you can see, there's hardly anyone. There's hardly anyone in the city. It's 10 o'clock, it's Saturday, and it's just a pity. It's beautiful because it's overcast. As I said, there's no breeze, and a beautiful day. Not an ideal summer day, but it's a great day to be walking around the city, and a great day to be enjoying the paradise that we call home, which is Sydney. The summer this year has been disappointing, with far more overcast days and wet days than sunny and typical summer days. But we'll take it for what it is, because each day has its uniqueness and the gifts of that are there for us to pick and choose and make the most of. Anyway, let's go on a bit of a walk and talk. I think the International Passenger Terminal is blocked off, but we'll just walk up and just go up the stairs if we can. So today I'm going to take you on a journey and take you on a scientific sort of journey, a discussion, which is on a book summary that I've read. And it's a book summary by an author who is a Nobel Prize laureate. She won a Nobel Prize for her work, and her name is Professor Elizabeth Blackburn. And her book is entitled The Telomere Effect, which I've got to admit, when I first heard the title of this book, I go, what the hell is this book about? But it's only once I started reading the summary that I got really interested and excited. And once again, there's something new that we've learnt, and something new that we can incorporate into our thought processes, and something that we can benefit from immensely. But all we have to do is just to welcome it and embrace the lessons from this book. And the book is all about how we can lengthen our lives, and how we can make the most of our health. Looks like they're extending something over here. This is all very new to me. But it looks like they're extending the wharf or the jetty. Don't know what will be, but time will show it. So it's all about extending our health, our life, and our life expectancy wherever possible. And she talks about the fact that over the history of time, we have stories that have been passed down to us from the spiritual writings of the Bible, where Methuselah is said to have lived for 969 years, and it's the longest recorded life of a human being. So from a scientific perspective, the author uses this as a baseline, and we discuss what helps us live healthily and longer, And it all gets back down to these things called telomeres. Telomeres. And hence the name of the book, The Telomere Effect. So a telomere affects how old you look and how fast you age. Interesting. A telomere affects how old you look and how fast you age. That straight away would get most people's attention, especially the ladies and those who want to maintain their appearances for as long as they can, to understand that there is something in our biology, something in our chemistry, something in our makeup that influences how young we look and how healthy we are. So the author then moves on to talk a little bit about biology, which is her forte and her strength. And she says that to stay healthy, your cells need to regenerate frequently. But the important thing to understand is that not only do they have to regenerate, but some cells have a limit as to how many times they can reproduce, which is the big thing that we need to take into consideration, because that is the thing that limits our ability to stay young and to stay healthy, because there are some cells that have a limit to how many times they can regenerate. So the learning from that is that we need to try and maintain those cells for as long as they can and as healthy as we can, because we know that there are only a certain number of times that they can go through a regeneration process and reproduction process. So it's a little bit like, the author suggests here, it's a little bit like the mouldy strawberry. If you've got a mouldy strawberry in a punnet, it doesn't take long before all the strawberries become mouldy and the whole punnet is destroyed. And the author then suggests and tells us that there's a similar story regarding our cells, that if we don't look after our holistic body and all of our cells and try and do whatever possible to remain healthy, then the cells which are not healthy are going to impact the healthy cells, just like a mouldy strawberry or a mouldy orange or a bad apple can then ruin the whole box of apples or the whole group within the same packet or punnet or box. So then we move on to learn a little bit more about our biology, and we find out that each chromosome has a telomere at each end, which helps protect the cell. So we've just been introduced now to what a telomere's job is, and its job is to help protect the cell. It's attached to each cell, and its job is to protect the cell. And each time it divides, each time the cell divides, so each time the cell reproduces, the telomere at the end of it becomes shorter. And that's why as it gets shorter and shorter and shorter, it becomes less effective at protecting the cell, is the lesson that we're gaining, or we're gleaning from this point. And here is the important point that come out of the book here, something that we've been told time and time again, but it's only when you hear it from a biological perspective that you're able to join the dots and go, aha, now I understand. Because the author goes on and tells us that UV exposure to the sun damages the telomere on the cell, and by damaging the telomere, it means that we're damaging the cell's ability to maintain its health and to reproduce and to do all the things that we'd love it to do in order to live longer, look younger, and be healthier. So what else do we know about telomeres? So the UV, the sun, and thank God it's not sunny today, and hence you'll notice there are some cultures who habitually and culturally avoid the sun. Asian cultures, I see a lot of Chinese, a lot of Japanese walking around with parasols and umbrellas, staying out of the sun and maintaining that brightness and that beauty of their skin, and hence why they stay and look younger for longer. They have learned a lot earlier than what the Western world has learned in terms of what they need to do to look young, stay young, and to protect their health. The next point that the author makes is a powerful one and a profound one, and it's one that may surprise a lot of people, but negative thinking damages your telomeres. Negative thinking. How can negative thinking impact your cells? How can negative thinking impact your health at the cellular level? So they've done a number of studies and a number of experiments, and they found out that cynicism or cynical hostility leads to overeating and other bad habits such as smoking, which causes disease. They also did a study of public servants in the UK, in Britain, and found that these public servants who expressed cynical hostility in their daily lives had shorter telomeres on their cells, which infers that their health and youthfulness and all the other things which go with the longevity of life is impacted. So an immediate call to action for each and every one of us is to make sure that we don't become pessimists or cynical or indulge in negative thinking or hang out with people who are negative or stay entrapped in toxic environments, because all of these things have a biological impact on our health and longevity. So it's up to you. You can decide to stay and put up with the shit, or you can decide to move on and at least protect your health and the health of those around you. Pessimism is another thing that impacts your health, and how it affects our health is that it impacts the threat level that we experience in our lives. And if you fear things, if you are pessimistic, and then that creates fear, then you're going to be susceptible to stress and to react negatively to stress as well. And that negativity, that stress, will impact your telomeres, and by impacting your telomeres, you're impacting your health, and so on and so forth. So you won't be surprised to hear that stress causes shorter telomeres. So stress impacts your cellular health and makes you less likely to live a healthy life and a happy life. And we've got to understand there are two types of stress. There is distress and eustress. The distress is the negative stress which causes you harm, whereas the eustress is the stress which draws you to your goals and helps create a better life for you, and by doing that contributes to your health and contributes to your longevity and contributes to your cellular health. So we need to understand the differences between stress, and to understand that there are some forms of stress which are positive, which make you healthier and give you an opportunity to grow, develop, and become a better version of yourself. and yet there is other stress which damages your cells and damages your health and causes inflammation, which progresses to sickness and doesn't allow you to get over your sickness as quickly as you can, because by being sick you become negative, you become despondent, you become pessimistic, you become cynical, and that just keeps the negative cycle going, which damages and further damages your health and makes it harder for you to get better, to live longer and to be healthier. Because mental illness is also something that triggers inflammation and progresses sickness faster. Anxiety and depression lead to bad health and aging. So the call to action is to get on top of all this stuff, this negative stuff, the bad stuff that's happening in your life, because if you don't get on top of it, it will get on top of you and it will destroy your health at the biological level, at the cellular level, and then will continue to eat away at you at the psychological level as well, from what I'm reading and from what I'm understanding. So the last points to come out of this book talk about the importance of exercise. Whilst we all hear about it all the time, we talk about it all the time, it's important to understand that exercise is critical. And to not only exercise, but to also get enough rest. If you want to have healthy telomeres is the lesson. So if you want to have health at the cellular level, which will improve your health at the psychological and mental level, you need to be healthy, you need to eat well, you need to exercise, you need to think well, you need to hang around people who share the same sort of visions, the same values, so that you get the most out of the potential and the opportunities that you have available to you. So, the call to action: we need to lose weight, we need to exercise, we need to improve our health, because by doing all of these things, we're helping our telomeres. And by helping our telomeres stay healthy at the cellular level, then it's going to help our biology and our life and help everything else, because everything's connected. Everything's connected in a holistic perspective. But in terms of training, we need to understand that we mustn't overdo it, because overtraining leads to overtraining syndrome, and overtraining damages your telomeres. So while exercise is important for your cellular health, if you overdo it and over-exercise, then you're causing damage. So a balance is something that's suggested. So why exercise? Because exercise decreases your blood pressure, it helps you overcome dementia and helps you overcome stroke, is some of the things that the author mentions from a scientific perspective. So how do we do it? The author suggests that in terms of exercise and things that we can consider, there are two levels of exercise that you should incorporate, or consider at least incorporating into your daily regime. The first one is high intensity interval training, and we hear this all the time, but high intensity interval training is critical to helping you improve your health and to improve your life. And also, in addition to that, you've also got another thing that you can consider doing, and it's something which is called modest aerobic exercise. So I'm happy to say that I'm a dance fitness instructor in the Opposize Dance Fitness program, and Opposize is one of those things, one of those programs that includes both high intensity interval training as well as moderate aerobic exercise. So by doing one program, you're ticking two boxes. Not only that, it also brings joy, it's happy, It's communal, so you've got a community that you can engage with, and it's something which is done to music, which uplifts the spirit as well. So there you go. Training is critical, exercise is critical, but so is sleep. And the last point that the author makes in this book, this wonderful book, is that sleep is critical because it helps repair our DNA. It sorts out our appetite. And if we fail to rest, what happens to our bodies is that cortisol and insulin are spiked and flood your system. And when those things happen, then stress picks up. And with the stress, your telomeres get damaged and everything just gets thrown out of kilter. And then your stress levels increase. And with your stress levels increasing, then you want to have comfort eating, and you get depressed, and you get worried, and that negative cycle kicks off, and it's very, very hard to break. So the author suggests that we need to sleep 6 or 7 hours a night on a regular basis to make sure that our telomeres remain healthy. We need to exercise aerobically and doing high intensity interval training to keep our telomeres healthy. We need to stay positive and not to be negative to keep our telomeres and our cell life happy. And we basically need to work at it. To stay out of the sun, stay out of the UV light, and to do whatever we need to do and whatever we can do on a regular basis to keep our cells healthy. Because as we alluded to and as we started off with, there's a limit to how much a cell can reproduce itself. And every time it reproduces, every time it goes through a cycle, the telomere, which keeps it healthy, gets shorter and shorter. And by getting shorter and shorter means that it's got less potency to be able to protect the cell. And when you start having cells which are not healthy and not protected, because everything is connected, then we have that moldy strawberry effect where other cells will start to get impacted, infected, and made unhealthy as well, until we get to the point where our whole mental, physical, spiritual health are impacted because we haven't done the necessary work to ensure that the environment that we're living in, the things that we do, are conducive to our excellent health. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on Jim's 5am Club from this wonderful location here on Circular Quay. I'm at the International Passenger Terminal on Saturday, and I'll finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and let's take some lessons from this book, The Telomere Effect by Elizabeth Blackburn, the Nobel Laureate, the professor who has been able to enlighten us as to why we need to be positive, why we need to stay out of the UV light as often as we can, why we need to exercise, why we need to sleep, and the mechanics, the biological, scientific mechanics of what makes people healthy, what makes people look young, stay young, and to live as long as they possibly can. So the call to action, the invitation is there for you to accept, to embrace, and to run with, now that we know how it all works and understand the science behind it. So it's up to each and every one of us to take our own personal leadership and do whatever we need to do to live as long as we need or we can live, to express ourselves and be the best possible version of ourselves. We owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our parents, our children, and to all of those around us who love us, need us, and want us in their lives. Take care. Like ya from Jim's 5am Club, and we'll chat again later on. where we'll do another book summary and possibly grab a cocktail, the weekly cocktail, which I do every week. Yasas and bye for now.